Hey, this is Mike from Intro Stars, and today we're very excited to bring you a new episode of the Super Connectors podcast with a very special guest star, our very own friend Nadio, who defines himself as an AI socialist and a born-again super connector. Hey Nadio, great to have you on the show.
Hi Mike, hi. Good to be here.
Great to be here with you, of course. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what it means for you to be a born-again super connector and an AI socialist?
Yeah, myself, I'm from the north of England originally, despite a funny name. So I'm half Italian from the north of England. Made my way down to this here, London, 8 years ago when I developed an algorithm for measuring social media performance, and Salesforce became my first and best client, and that led to me indirectly to becoming a brand director within the Salesforce ecosystem. And then I set up a publishing company and a events company, and that was all to service the Salesforce ecosystem. So it was all about raising the profile of the fantastic partners and alliances within the Salesforce ecosystem. And then, of course, that thing called COVID came, and COVID put an end to all Salesforce travel. So the events came to an abrupt end. The distribution for the magazine came to an abrupt end, and that was a period of time when I went, okay, I bought myself a boat and disappeared onto a boat on the Thames in Chiswick, and reinvented myself as a marketing consultant. I was before anyway, so I went back to becoming that. And that coincided, I had a period of time I got cancer, so I had to spend about 18 months to recover from that. And then when I came back out, a bit like Lazarus in a way, I found that somebody introduced me to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Well, I know a bit about algorithms because 10, 12 years ago, I'd been involved in developing one. So it didn't surprise me how it works, but it did worry me as to how many of my 10,000 graduates around the world, because I was a senior academic for a long time, how many of those are going to lose their jobs or be affected by AI? And my children, I've got 3 children, you know, they're going to be averse. And am I? I mean, I used to manage to spend about a month writing a marketing plan. You know, just spread it out a little bit and charge a little bit extra for a marketing plan. And with ChatGPT, I learned I could write a plan in a day, 2 days, and that worried me. But then I started to embrace it a little bit more, and I realized that not enough people our companies have marketing plans anyway. So write more, do them quicker, charge a little bit less, get more out there. And that led to me setting up a network, a global network called the AI Collective. Yep. And we are 750 strong on LinkedIn. Okay. We have another 400 on Facebook and another 300 odd in Mighty Network, some crossover, but there's about 1,000 around the world who are AI savvy individuals, from school leavers to thought leaders who are interested in AI. So my mission, as I sit here today talking to you, is to enable fair and fair and equal access to responsible AI. I don't want my younger self not to be able to get the access to artificial intelligence. As you and I both know, it's a game changer when you do get to use it and use it well.
Absolutely. And why do you call yourself a born-again super connector? Where does that come from?
Well, my first career was as a chef. I'm half Italian. It was going to be ice cream or pizza, and I went into pizza. And so for 20 odd years, I ran some pizza takeaways, had a little factory. I got into tech. I got into computerization, my order taking facility, and that led into various other things. And in and amongst that, I also owned an events company, a networking events company. And so I knew the benefit of networking way back in the, I don't know, around about the early 90s. I owned a company called LunchNet. And we used to do speed networking over lunch. Mm-hmm. And it was great. And I got loads of connections. 23,000 connections on our database right back in the early days, and I moved that business on, but I didn't have a lot of product to sell at the time. So I spent a lot of my time connecting people and they used to pay to attend the events. And I've got somebody who told me not long since that he's invoiced 600,000 on the back of the introductions that I made to him at my event. I never got a penny out of that. That slightly galls you a little bit when you move on in life, and you think, So I was a networker. I was a connector. I worked in catering. I like people. I enjoy company. And then when I came back from my period of, I came out of recovering from cancer. I want to share the knowledge that I've gained about artificial intelligence and the good that it can do. And the best way to do that is talk to people, connect to people, tell stories. I think I'm more of a storyteller than a super connector. I know you're going to scrap this interview now, aren't you?
You can be both. A great storyteller, because to connect people, you need to tell their stories, right? And find the commonalities, connect the dots between stories of people you meet. So that's a great talent you do have.
Yeah, and we are actively doing that. I mean, the AI Collective, it started off as a bunch of people who whether they liked it or not, I told them they were interested in AI, and then I've shared information with them, and some of them now we have a podcast series. We've got I run my particular series is Education with AI. David Brown is our executive producer. I think there's 9 of us now in the group. So we've got law, we've got relationships, we've got creatives. So we've got lots going on there. I've got a new electronic business card that I have an interest in, and that's going to be a dynamic product that sits in your wallet on your phone. We're building an AI capability within that electronic business card.
So it's all about connecting people at the end of the day, right?
People using tech to connect people to do good. That's my thing.
Beautiful. So what is your approach to networking today? How do you value connections, and what is your approach to networking?
It's not very strategic. It tends to be more I think I'm being a little bit choosier. I've got 23,000 connections on LinkedIn, and I've probably clicked on every single one. I've invited them, so I have I've got a very wide network. I think as I go forward now, it's those who will influence and support the democratization of AI. They're my priority. I was at Google last week. I was very lucky to be invited to just a small collection. There's 20 of us there. I was with the guys that are heading up the search capability, because they partnered with, was it Electric they partnered with? Some firm. And I've just built a GPT for one of those guys for his executive MBA. That network, those very significant, powerful networks, are where I'm heading, and then I feed them back to my group, and then encourage them. I think as somebody else said on your show, givers gain. So we give before we expect anything back. But my role, I think now going forward on behalf of the network, is to forge the larger, what's a polite way of saying, the sort of more influential networks. Everybody's influential. Everybody matters, from school leavers to thought leaders.
Yes.
Everybody has the same value. Yeah. We have a time bank facility where I give an hour of my time, and somebody can give an hour of that, so long as somebody else gives an hour of their time to somebody else who can receive some benefit. So if it's doing the shopping for somebody, if it's mowing the lawn for somebody in Malawi, if it's picking bananas in wherever, our time is equal. Yeah. So we have lots of different mechanisms to enable our network to gain, but you've got to give first. We do encourage to give first.
Yeah, and that obviously giving time is important, but also introducing people and connecting people is equally valuable than giving time, and it takes time. So the two are interrelated, giving and helping others, right? And so how do you draw that line between helping others, giving, connecting people, giving your time, but also monetizing? How do you walk that fine line between monetizing at some point something and helping others, connecting people, giving your time and connections?
Monetizing's always come last for me. Mm-hmm. A long way last, and probably far too way. It's my motivation is impact. And impact isn't always about financial reward. In fact, it's easier to network, it's easier to connect if you don't put a price on that.
Yeah.
However, when you get to a certain age and you see, you know, you the twilight years, you think, you know what, I do want to start monetizing some of these connections. They are valuable, the opportunities are valuable. So I've actually teamed up with somebody else who's much better than me at cutting deals. And so we speak to people, we network, and then we offer our services, and he will arrange, and we call ourselves a single digit share partners, so we don't go high. It's a small percentage share in lots of startups predominantly, and then I don't mind telling you, I use AI to service those relationships, to build those networks, and to monetize the opportunities. And that's a pretty interesting and exciting place to be.
Cool. And so how do you track introductions you make and receive? Like if you look at new generations of tools like intro stars, we can track every introduction you make and receive, and also guarantee the introducer gets paid if a deal comes out of it. How does that change the game for you or for other connectors in your network?
I'm not here to advertise intro stars.
Of course not.
But I see in intro stars something that's been missing for a long time. As soon as I heard about IntraStars and then I met you, I thought, yeah, there's something pretty smart about that. I think I have to grow up and I have to be bold about networks and about introductions. That's not normally my style. I give. Yeah. And I think to be successful with IntraStars, you've got to have a bit more of an edge to you. But I see that and I value that, and I wish that I'd sort of inherited that gene a long time ago. So I'm leaning on you to help me to become a bit smarter about how I forge my introductions going forward.
And hopefully you can help lots of other super connectors out there to be a bit more pragmatic about how they track introductions and how they go about making more introductions to help even more people.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, tech is in our favor.
Exactly.
We've got the smartphones, we've got the AI, of course. We've got, you've got your HubSpots and you've got all the other CRM systems, and no doubt you are integrating your system into other systems. So tech's in our favor. I don't think we're getting out as much as we used to. We're working 3 days from home or whatever the trend is. I think that's a big loss. In the creative industries, I think most of my breakthrough opportunities have come by the water cooler or the coffee machine or in the pub.
Especially in the pub.
Especially in the pub. So
that's where magic happens for all of us.
I think so, and I think we need to devise mechanisms to make sure that we don't miss out on those opportunities. So if we have to turn to tech, then so be it.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've built loads and loads of GPT engines for other people, and you mentioned to me in one of our conversations you were happy to build like a GPT for your connections to see who you could introduce to whom, etc. And that would be a great complement to IntroStars, for example. So can you tell us a bit more about your passion for creating those GPT engines for lots of different people, but especially for human connections?
Yeah, thank you. I've built 100 GPTs in 100 days.
Wow.
And that might become a Netflix movie one day.
Yeah, and that could be your next title, the master of GPTs, or the guru of GPTs.
And that number now has blossomed to over 200. And I've just shared some with somebody this morning. So I'm working with somebody around mediation. So we're looking at building a GPT for mediation because it lends itself very well to that. But the one I think that you're particularly referring to is I built one called My Excel Buddy.
Yes.
So as you know, you can go into your LinkedIn profile, go into the back end of it, find the data, and extract your data. Download your Excel connections, put those into, it gets downloaded into an Excel spreadsheet, and then I built something called My Excel Buddy, and it invites you to attach that PDF of your Excel spreadsheet and interrogate it. And you don't have to say much to it. You just click the first custom conversation starter there, which is, hi, I'm new here. What can this GPT do for me? And the GPT will tell you lots of different things it can do, including creating pivot tables, putting campaigns together, etc., etc. So typically what I do with that is I take my 23,000 connections on LinkedIn, and I will take a profile of a startup that I'm working with. It might be their website, it might be a PDF that they've shared with me, it might be their pitch deck. I attach it, put them in together and say, find me the top 50 contacts in my database for me to introduce to this particular startup. And it will say on what basis. It will guess, but you can also say on size of company, on seniority of the individual, on location. Right? You can put them in different orders. So, and it will do that.
I mean, that's magic. I see that as an amazing tool to use for super connectors. You've got a big database.
Mike, you can have it.
I love it.
You can have it. Build it into your proposition.
We're obviously looking at that.
To me, it's a massive opportunity for democratizing great access to AI. And if people can use it and benefit from that, then I'm more than happy to share it with you.
Absolutely. I mean, every super connector in the world who have a big network of people could definitely benefit from that. So, great. So Nadia, what other trends do you see in networking or connecting people? You know, anything exciting you're working on or specific industries where you can see a big change and a big shift?
Yeah, I think cross-cultural. I'm doing a lot of work in the Middle East, and I think there's a great opportunity to network more in the Middle East and use some of our more formal advanced methods that we've been developing probably over here and use it over there. An area for massive growth for me, and an area of great concern, is the higher education market. Yeah. I think the higher education market needs to change. Needs to change quickly. It's sleepwalking into a future with AI that's going to really disrupt it. So one of the things it can do to protect itself and to make it a more valuable experience for all is to get that networking machine going and interact with industry more, get our students to be more familiar with networking, be a bit more, you have to be, relatively professional when you're networking, but to have that confidence, to have that skill that goes with it. And that's a massive skill that you can give to our student bodies, because I built a GPT called 16. It's for, guess what? For 16-year-olds, because our 16-year-olds are the most affected by the COVID years. They're the ones who are in their formative years, didn't network at school, they weren't playing out in the playground, and now they're 16, 17, 18, and their interconnection skills, their interpersonal skills are statistically the worst that we've had in living generations. So we can't ignore those figures. We shouldn't forget about that. So I think a more concerted effort and investment in enabling our student population to use networking, as well as the old tried and tested CV, or that CV, who reads a CV these days? Yeah,
but you're absolutely right that we want to encourage a new generation of young people to go networking more. And that's an essential skill which doesn't come naturally. It's something we need to teach people in school, universities, to go out there, put themselves out there, go to networking events, build a network for their future, and of course at some point become super connectors as well. And really kind of show that path to millions of students and young people to become super connectors, super networkers, like you and me, who got this, building our skills over the last 20 years. This is something we need to bring to a new generation. So I'm hoping you can bring that with your GPTs, encourage the next generation of super networkers and super connectors.
Well, I do my little bit. I mean, I don't know who's listening to me, but I'm a visiting lecturer at a couple of universities, and particularly in the business schools, and I'm banging on about this all the time because, it is a skill. It's not something that, we're born with. You have to learn how to. And the other thing is, if you own a company in 10 years' time, who would you most want to network with? Is it somebody who's not embraced modern technology and up with the technology that we're advancing into. I mean, and it is being inflicted on us at a far more rapid pace than ever before. So it's a younger brains, it's a younger graduates coming through university who are going to be bringing that nuance, that essence into our workplace. So I think we of the more senior members of the workforce should do the most that we can to enable the younger ones to come through as competent networkers.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what IntroStars is trying to be, which is to inspire a whole new generation of young people to become confident networkers and super connectors. So hopefully you and me together can change the world and inspire the next generation of these super connectors. Can you tell us more where people can follow you, where people can see what you're working on, follow your adventures and see what you're working on right now?
Yeah, sure. Nadio Granata, you'll find me on LinkedIn. But also if you go to nadio.ai,
that's a good website.
That's my website there, and on nadio.ai you'll see in the menu that I've got my GPT library. You'll also see in the bottom right hand corner a chat bot. So just ask Nadio anything, ask me about the events that we're doing, ask me for it'll book meetings, etc., etc.
So that's your avatar. Will be very nice and friendly to your Nadio avatar on your website.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Nadio, for your time today. What a great conversation. We touched on so many different topics. The future, next generation of super connectors, networkers, all the GPTs you've built. So thanks again for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you at many more networking events.
Thanks, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
Nadio. Cheers.